an emotional breakup, a group date dedicated to sex, and a contestant just disappearing into thin air. I'm here with your Week 6 episode recap of The Bachelorette. Welcome back to Roses and Proposes. I'm your host, Kelly Johns, bringing you weekly recaps of Gabby and Rachel's journey to love. This episode starts off with the guys getting their date cards, and we see that for Rachel's one-on-one, she's taking Zach for his second one-on-one. Tyler and Ethan in her group of guys have still not had a one-on-one, so they're feeling some sort of way about Zach getting his second, but this happens every single season. And then for Gabby, Nate is also getting his second one-on-one before Spencer has had one at all. We see Gabby and Rachel sitting outside at a cafe, and Jesse Palmer comes up to chat with them. Rachel tells Jesse that this is really working for her, and she says, I think that's the case for both of us, right, Gabby? But Gabby is a little hesitant and a little more emotional and nervous about things going forward. She shares that she has a really strong connection with Nate, and we know that, but she's really nervous still about the future with Nate because that means that she would take on a mother role. So that leads us into Gabby's one-on-one with Nate. They walk around the city. Things seem to be going well until just a few minutes in, we see her ask him to sit down on a bench, and she immediately starts sobbing. She's so upset, so we know right away what's about to happen. She tells Nate how strongly she feels for him and how she knows he's an incredible father, but they're just at two different stages in their life, and she just isn't ready to take that next step, and she doesn't want to keep him around even longer when she knows that that's just not something she's ready for. He takes it very well. He tells her that he would never be mad at her for being honest, and she thanks him for teaching her what it's like to be treated well, and he tells her, just make sure you choose a guy that also chooses you. They have a very tough goodbye. They keep hugging. I think they did kiss on the lips one more time, and they finally part ways, and she's just distraught. And now it's time for Rachel's one-on-one with Zach. The scene opens up with a gorgeous aerial shot of a huge field of tulips. Rachel and Zach meet up there. Of course, they have the hug and jump, and she's up on him making out right when they see each other. And they go through the tulips with a Polaroid camera. They take cute selfies. Then they ride bikes through the tulips. And of course, there's a random hot tub in the middle of the tulips too. So they have a steamy little hot tub sesh. They share their feelings for each other. Zach is very open that he's 100% in this, and he can't wait for her to meet his family. Later, for the evening portion of the date, they have dinner in a huge museum all to themselves. He opens up about his past and how he used to be a lot heavier. He shares that he's lost about 85 pounds in the journey of healing from that, and he opens up that therapy has really helped him. Rachel shares that therapy has also really helped her, especially after being on The Bachelor and all of the things that went down with Clayton. And they share that they really look forward to therapy each week or however often they go. We're seeing that a lot this season, and I think that it's really important that they're highlighting that because therapy is super beneficial. You don't have to go through something traumatic to go to therapy. It can just be, a normal, healthy part of a routine to just keep your mind right. Their dinner, I call it a dinner, but of course they never really actually eat anything. But Zach does tell Rachel he is falling in love. With Bachelor lingo, this is usually the second step. I think the first is I can see myself falling in love with you. Then it's I am falling in love with you. And then we get to I'm in love with you / I love you. Sometimes those are separate, but sometimes it's the I'm in love with you and then finally the I love you. So we're halfway there with Zach, I think. But Rachel is giddy when he says this. I think that she really likes Zach. I think she's definitely falling as well. But I still think Tino is the front runner, and we'll get to him soon. And then Zach and Rachel go outside and dance to a live string quartet. And it goes without saying, he gets a rose. Cut back to Gabby. She's still really upset about the breakup with Nate, and she goes and talks to the rest of her guys. They're really sweet. They tell her they've been thinking about her all day because they know it was a really tough decision, and they were really understanding and reassuring. And now for the most entertaining part of the episode, Gabby's group date. They meet outside of a building and she tells the boys, come to mama. I love it. And then they go into this building and it's all just red light, you know, because it's the red light district in Amsterdam. And this woman is performing with a whip and super sexy outfit. And then the guys find out that this date is going to be all about sex. So this woman, I think her name was Susie, tells the guys that their first activity is going to be choosing a safe word. Johnny says pumpkin right away. He's very sure about that. Jason says cruise ship. Wonder where he got that. Spencer thinks for a moment and then says Albuquerque. And then Logan chooses asbestos. And he says in his ITM, I chose asbestos because it's a toxic chemical and it's really unwanted and you definitely don't want it in the bedroom. Susie asks the men very personal sexual questions like, are you good at going south? And how many women have you been with? Johnny kind of pleads the fifth here, and at first he says, oh, do you know me? Implying that it's a lot, and Gabby laughs at this and mentions that, well, he's from Palm Beach, Florida, so duh. I did a parody of this scene, so check it out on my channel under YouTube Shorts. And she keeps asking him like 10, 20, 100, and he's just like, pumpkin. He uses his safe word, so that was really funny. And then the guys also have to lay in like a circle, blindfolded, and Gabby has like a whip and nipple tassels and whipped cream and kind of just plays with them as they're blindfolded. It's very funny, it's lighthearted, and I liked this group date a lot. Now we think that it's time for the night portion of the group date, but as Gabby opens her door to her cruise room, she's in full hair and makeup and gown, ready for the night portion, and Jesse's like, there's been a situation. Logan tested positive for COVID. And she's upset, but I'm like, why did production get her ready? Did they literally just find out he tested positive? I don't know, but all of the guys are sitting in their little lounge, and they're all like, dude, where's Logan? And then Jesse comes to tell them. He literally just says there's been a situation with Logan and the cocktail party tonight has been canceled. He doesn't tell them that Logan has COVID. So it's super weird. But all the guys are still allowed to hang out with each other, and Jesse's allowed to talk to them, and Jesse's allowed to talk to Gabby this close to her face. It doesn't quite make sense with the COVID thing because they were all around Logan. And also, there's an outdoor section of this cruise ship, massive areas outdoors where Gabby and the guys could be COVID cautious and sit 6 feet, 10 feet, however many feet apart and still chat and have more time together. Like, they're just missing out on all these opportunities here. On to Rachel's group date. They meet in a city called Adam, which is the cheese capital of the world. Never heard of it, but cool fact. The guys are very excited to see her. They all run up and kind of race each other to get to her first, so that was cute to see. And then the guys participate in a cheese weightlifting competition where it sounds just like it is. There's a big bar on their back like you would lift weights, but the weights are massive blocks of cheese. Round after round, they keep adding more blocks to add more weight. It looks really painful. The guys are really struggling, but they're like, gotta do it for Rachel. Turns out at the end, it's Tino and Ethan in the top two. And Tino kind of makes a deal with Ethan and just says, if you put yours down, I'll end right after you. That's what happened, and Tino ended up being the winner, the Cheese King. And then later, for the evening portion, cocktail party, Rachel hits it off with all of the guys. We see nice conversations with each one of them, and a really especially nice conversation with Tino. He just tells her, like, again, I am all in. I am so ready for you to meet my family. He's like, I would have taken you home weeks ago. That's how sure I am. So he's feeling super confident he's gonna get the group date rose. Then it's time for the rose to be handed out, and Rachel hands it to Tyler. Tyler is very sweet. He's very vocal about his feelings to her too, but this was surprising. But Tino has gotten the group date rose so many times already. He got first impression rose, so I think he's used to all of this reassurance like almost every date, and he's just used to being like that guy. After she walks off, it's just the guys. He's like silent, and then he looks at Tyler and says, congrats, man, I mean it. But then he gets up and leaves. He can't handle it. And we see him kind of talking to producers, and he's just like pissed, upset. He's just like, I don't freaking get it. What's going on? And then we see the other guys talking to each other about what just happened with Tino. And Ethan's like, he's being such a baby back bitch. That was a good quote. I'm going to use that in the future. And now it's time for the rose ceremony. Back on the freezing cold nighttime deck outside on this cruise ship. Still don't know why they're doing it there. It's windy. The girls are basically in blanket shawls, but whatever. Looks pretty. And Gabby's men, no one has roses yet because Nate went home already. Logan just literally has disappeared. So we know he got COVID, but they didn't show any footage of him, which I guess they couldn't film him, but they could have filmed him once he was out of quarantine, like saying goodbye. He's just gone. He's disappeared. He's got no chance with Gabby anymore. So after all the drama last week, the week before with Logan, he's just disappeared into thin air. So we wish you the best, Logan. So that means Gabby only has 4 men left: Spencer, Eric, Jason, and Johnny. Usually 4 people go into hometowns, but Gabby tells her guys, unfortunately, I just don't feel like I'm at the point where I'm ready to meet 4 families, and she only has 3 strong enough connections to move forward. So Gabby hands out her 3 roses to Eric, Jason, and Johnny. Spencer is going home. Not really shocked by this. He hasn't had a one-on-one and he seems really nice, but we just didn't see a super strong connection with Spencer. And now it's Rachel's turn to hand out her roses. Zach and Tyler already have roses. Her first rose goes to Avon, and then, drum roll, just to make him even more in his head and nervous, production totally tells Rachel to give Tino the last rose. So Tino, he's making it through, obviously, and Ethan, we love Ethan, but he's going home. Ethan and Rachel share a really sweet goodbye. He's just always so friendly and optimistic, and he tells her that she lights up every room, and she tells him thank you so much for making this experience so positive. And of course, the episode ends with a preview for next week. We see Rachel and Gabby meeting the families. In particular, one of the dads, it looks like Tino's dad, telling Rachel, this is just a fairy tale, this isn't real, and then Tino outside on a bench with Rachel saying, I'm sorry I haven't told you this before. Well, I think that that's going to be him saying, I love you, and the teaser is just trying to scare us, so mark my words. Well, that's it for episode 6 of The Bachelorette. Thanks for tuning in to Roses and Proposes. Of course, I'll be back next week with your recap of the hometown dates. I can't believe we're already at hometowns. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think of this season and your predictions moving forward. No spoilers. Also, check out my parody clips on my channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week.